The moment you realize a nuclear explosion has happened, your life may depend less on luck than on the very first decision you make. That sounds dramatic, but history, physics, and decades of civil defense research all point to the same uncomfortable truth. In many nuclear emergencies, people who make the correct decision within the first few minutes dramatically increase their chances of surviving. The strange part is that the most natural human reaction is often the wrong one. You want to run. You want to see what happened. You want to call everyone you know. You want answers immediately. Unfortunately, radiation doesn't care about panic, curiosity, or bravery. It simply follows the laws of physics, and if you don't understand those laws, you could unknowingly walk straight into danger. Here's what nobody tells you. If you survive the initial blast, the explosion itself may no longer be your greatest enemy. Fallout becomes the invisible predator. Tiny radioactive particles are thrown high into the atmosphere before drifting back to Earth. They look harmless, like ordinary dust or ash, but every grain can emit dangerous radiation. You cannot smell it, you cannot taste it, your instincts are useless against it. This is why nuclear survival is less about heroics and more about making calm, intelligent decisions while everyone else is doing exactly the opposite. The first question you should ask isn't, "Where is my car?" It's, "Where is the nearest solid shelter?" This single decision changes everything. Radiation loses strength as it passes through dense materials. Thick concrete, underground structures, subway stations, and buildings with reinforced basements absorb far more radiation than wood, glass, or thin metal walls. Every layer between you and the fallout acts like another shield. Think of radiation like thousands of microscopic arrows. A thick concrete wall catches most of them before they ever reach your body. A tent, a vehicle, or a wooden shed barely slows them down. Many people imagine escaping by driving away as fast as possible. That sounds reasonable until you remember that everyone else is trying the same thing. Roads become parking lots, fuel disappears, traffic traps people outdoors exactly when radioactive dust begins falling. A car is transportation, not protection. If you're already inside a sturdy building, abandoning it for a traffic jam could become the most dangerous decision of your life. Time is your second shield. The intensity of fallout decreases surprisingly fast. Scientists often summarize this using the 7-10 rule. After 7 hours, radiation levels typically fall to about 1/10 of what they were initially. After 49 hours, they drop even further, and after about 2 weeks, they become only a tiny fraction of their original intensity. That doesn't mean the environment is safe, but it does mean every hour spent properly sheltered dramatically reduces your radiation dose. The most dangerous period is usually the first 24 hours, when patience becomes more valuable than courage. This is where psychology becomes another survival tool. Human beings hate uncertainty. Sitting inside a shelter while rumors spread outside feels unbearable. Someone insists the danger has passed. Another claims the government is hiding something. Social media explodes with contradictory reports. Fear pushes people toward action because doing something feels better than doing nothing. But nuclear emergencies reward discipline, not impulse. Waiting for verified information from emergency authorities is often the smartest move, even though it feels completely unnatural. Water suddenly becomes far more precious than food. The human body can survive weeks with limited food, but only days without clean water. If you have access to sealed bottled water, protect it carefully. Water stored inside pipes or a water heater may also remain usable if contamination hasn't entered the system. Rainwater collected after fallout begins is another story entirely. Radioactive particles settle onto rooftops, roads, and open containers before washing into water supplies. Boiling contaminated water kills bacteria, but does absolutely nothing to remove radioactive materials. That's one of the cruel tricks of nuclear fallout. Water can look crystal clear while carrying invisible contamination that your eyes can never detect. Food follows similar rules. Anything sealed inside cans, unopened jars, or factory packaging is generally far safer than exposed produce or uncovered meals. Fruits and vegetables growing outdoors after fallout may collect radioactive dust on their surfaces. Washing helps remove some contamination, but not all of it, especially if particles enter damaged skin or leafy vegetables. Livestock grazing on contaminated grass may also carry radioactive materials into milk and meat. This is why emergency planners always emphasize protected food supplies during nuclear incidents. Survival isn't just about having enough calories, it's about avoiding unnecessary radiation entering your body. Your clothing can quietly become one of the biggest carriers of contamination. If you've been outside during fallout, those radioactive particles cling to fabric, shoes, hats, and even your hair. The simple act of removing your outer clothing can eliminate a significant portion of external contamination before it spreads through your shelter. Placing contaminated clothes into sealed plastic bags and washing exposed skin with soap and water reduces further exposure. Scrubbing aggressively is a mistake because damaged skin may absorb contaminants more easily. Gentle washing removes particles without creating additional problems. This section is based on practical field survival experience rather than formal academic sources. Communication becomes another battlefield. Phones may overload within minutes as millions of people attempt to call family members simultaneously. Electrical grids may fail. Internet access could disappear without warning. Battery-powered radios suddenly become one of the most valuable tools you own because they continue providing official emergency instructions when modern communication systems collapse. It's an old technology that quietly outlives many newer ones. Sometimes the simplest equipment survives because it depends on fewer complicated systems. One mistake repeatedly appears in disaster after disaster. People underestimate stress. High levels of fear narrow attention, damage memory, and encourage reckless decisions. Even experienced professionals train repeatedly because they know panic can erase knowledge at the worst possible moment. Creating a simple routine inside your shelter, checking supplies, rationing water sensibly, monitoring official broadcasts, and resting whenever possible helps maintain clear thinking. Your greatest survival advantage may not be physical strength, but the ability to stay rational while everyone else is overwhelmed by emotion. There is another uncomfortable truth about radiation exposure. It is cumulative. Every unnecessary trip outside adds another dose. You may not feel anything immediately because radiation sickness often takes hours or even days before symptoms appear. That's what makes it especially deceptive. A person can feel completely healthy while dangerous biological damage is already occurring inside rapidly dividing cells throughout the body. This delayed effect tempts people into believing the danger has already passed, when in reality they've simply outrun the symptoms. If evacuation orders eventually come, they should be followed carefully rather than emotionally. Authorities use radiation measurements, weather patterns, and contamination mapping to determine safer routes. Driving in the wrong direction could move you directly into heavier fallout zones. The safest road isn't always the shortest one. In nuclear emergencies, invisible geography matters more than visible landmarks. Perhaps the biggest lesson is that survival depends less on expensive equipment than on informed decisions. You don't need a secret underground bunker to improve your odds. You need knowledge, preparation, and the discipline to trust science over instinct. Thick shelter beats thin shelter. Waiting beats wandering. Clean water beats unnecessary supplies. Verified information beats rumors. Calm thinking beats panic every single time. Nuclear survival is ultimately a battle against an enemy you cannot see. Fire announces itself. Floods roar. Tornadoes leave obvious destruction. Radiation arrives without drama, without sound, and without mercy. Yet it also follows predictable scientific rules. Those rules don't change because people are frightened. They remain constant, offering anyone who understands them a genuine chance to survive. If there is one idea worth remembering above everything else, let it be this: Your first decision creates the path for every decision that follows. In a nuclear emergency, the smartest move may feel like the least dramatic one. Find proper shelter, stay there, protect yourself from fallout, conserve your resources, wait for reliable information. It isn't the story Hollywood likes to tell, but in the real world, survival rarely belongs to the fastest runner or the loudest voice. More often than not, it belongs to the person who understands the science, resists panic, and makes the right first decision while everyone else is making their last.